Well, joining me in the studio now is writer Marcus Distant. Marcus has written a short film about Dudley-born football legend Duncan Edwards. Marcus, thank you for joining me this evening.
How are you? All right?
I'm good, thank you. So let's start off with this short film that you've written. What inspired you to write this?
Basically, it could have been a variety of reasons. My girlfriend's from the Priory estate, the same estate Duncan Edwards was brought up on, and where he honed his skills as a footballer on Priory Park. I believe that could have played an influential part. And also, because I'm a writer, I'm always aware of new materials. I'm always reading exercise books on how to develop your skills as a writer. And it always says certain things like keep a notepad on you.
Yeah.
Always jot down ideas that come to you. So it could have just been a spontaneous moment where I was in the town. I've seen the statue of Duncan Edwards. I see it regularly.
Yeah.
But I thought, I'm gonna see if I can develop something with this. And then I went to the library, and we've got a local history section. So I just grabbed a few autobiographies on Duncan Edwards, and then it just went from there.
And it's safe to say, I mean, not only is he a legend in the world of football and across the country, but massive for the town of Dudley, isn't he?
Yeah. He's our main landmark. We got Lenny Henry, who's achieved great things with the Red Nose Days, setting it up in the early 80s with Billy Connolly and other comedians. But Duncan Edwards, he's like our John Lennon. That's the best way I've put it to other people. You know how Liverpool, you go to see the Beatles museum. With Duncan Edwards, he's the man who's raising the flag for Dudley, so yeah.
Yeah, and Duncan Edwards, a lot of people know him as the legendary footballer.
Yeah.
Played for England, one of the youngest people to ever play for England. And a lot of people obviously know him for his tragic death in the Munich Air crash. But you've chosen to focus on his childhood, haven't you?
Yeah, that's correct, yeah. The reason I've decided to focus on the childhood is because I want to inspire the youth of Dudley. So I've never really understood too much about the background of Duncan Edwards. He's always just been a bit of a mystique around the figure. I've seen the statue and I haven't really been able to identify with him. So I thought, as a writer, it'd be my job to shed light more on the boyhood and the determination he stood for. So in the hopes that it can, the future generations that are born in Dudley now, they can just look to him and find a bit out about him more than just the statue in the town.
Well, it's keeping his legacy alive, isn't it, as well? Because people walk past and they might see the statue and think, oh, who's that? But does this aim to, really try and keep the legacy alive?
Yeah. Hopefully that's the goal, really. So, the generations that can come. Because we're going to upload it on YouTube, hopefully, if we get the funding to actually make the film, and then people can just reference it and go back to it in the future.
So what stage are we at with the film at the moment? You've just written it, haven't you?
Yeah,
so
I've wrote the script. I'm currently in the process of looking for potential production team candidates, cast members. Hopefully, I'll be shooting it around about July, August time.
Okay.
But I've been given the consent by the Edwards family, which is really great news. Dudley Council have given me the consent, so it's just a fact of getting dedicated members now.
So very local, it's all going to be filmed in Dudley, isn't it?
Yeah. It's going to be filmed, hopefully, in the Black Country Museum, certain locations. We're going to be filming in Dudley Museum, where a few of his exhibits are kept, a few of his England caps, 1958 England shirts, and if you go to Dudley Museum, you'll find a lot of the stuff there. So that's one of the main locations that we're going to be shooting.
Are you looking for people to get involved? How can people get involved?
I'm going to be fundraising on Kickstarter, so initial target of about $5,000 to pay for the production team, catering costs, travel expenses. But the best way, if people want to come and follow our page, on our Facebook page, it's Duncan Edwards, the boy who had it all, and then you can see all the posts and you can see all the progress as we go along,
And so when it's finally together, how long will this short film be, and where will we be able to see it?
Hopefully on YouTube. I've had a few distribution companies who want to hopefully get it on digital download via iTunes, so that's where hopefully I'll be pushing, but YouTube, probably a YouTube channel.
And how long will the actual film be?
It could vary from 10 minutes to 13, so
Quite short then?
Yeah, because the goal is to do a little snippet of a what if, and then we want to enter it into film festivals nationwide, and then after we've done that, if we get interest and it's met with success, we can hopefully push for a feature film then, but we're going to require more funding and a bigger team.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And we've been talking about your short film about Duncan Edwards. It focuses on his childhood. I mean, what sort of childhood did he have?
Well, he went to Priory Primary School and he attended Wolverhampton Street Secondary School, which is possibly now the Castle High School. He honed his skills, as I said, on the Priory Park, which he most likely spent a lot of his time. I've heard stories about him through like my uncles who used to babysit by him because they used to play football a lot, and there's rumours that any child that had a ball in Dudley, he wouldn't mind looking after him. So. Yeah.
Does your uncle have a few of his skills, or?
Nah. But they've just got a few stories about him, yeah.
I mean, that's brilliant, isn't it? Just to think that your uncle was actually babysat by Duncan Edwards. I mean, when you look back to his career and looking at football now, football is completely different now, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a lot different. Like, a lot of people say, how would Duncan Edwards be able to adapt to today's game? But what a lot of people fail to realise is under the pitches, like the soil, there's a lot of heating, so players will probably take less injury to the ankles. But back in Duncan Edwards' day, there was no like heating under the pitches. It was like solid grass.
Yeah.
So like, you know, and they had to, in the peak of the career, they had to do 2 years national service as well. So they had to play over 90 games a season, whereas a professional today only plays about 38 games. But back in Duncan Edwards' day, when he had to do his national service, he could reach anything up to 90 to 100 games. So, yeah, really difficult.
And he died at the age of 21. It's safe to say he did have a really bright future ahead of him, didn't he?
Well, a lot of the people that knew him and played with him or against him, they all hold him in high regards. Bobby Charlton said he was the only player that ever made him feel inferior. When Bobby Charlton first went to Manchester United, Jimmy Murphy, the assistant manager, he explained to him, he said, Bobby, I've got a player here, wait till you see him. And, you know, he talked him up, and Bobby Charlton was like, it's impossible that anyone's that good, he ain't that good. But when Bobby Charlton got to the training and actually met Duncan Edwards, he said, I couldn't believe my eyes. He said, everything Jimmy Murphy explained to me about him, it was true. And even players that have played against him, they even agree that he would have probably been the best player who ever lived.
Yeah. And I mean, your short film, it encompasses his childhood. You said this film's, 10 to 13 minutes. How do you possibly get that into 10 to 13 minutes?
It's really condensed, but it's a craft, and it's a difficult skill to do a short film. There's a lot of competitions out there at the moment where you could do a 2-page short film that could last for 2 minutes.
Wow.
5 pages, but my script, I think it's 13 to 14 pages. So yeah.
I mean, what would your highlight be? What do you think's the best bit? Without giving too much away, obviously.
The best bit of the script?
Yeah.
I like how it sheds light on the father, Gladstone Edwards, and the mum, Annie Edwards, and their relationship with Duncan, because he was the apple of their eye. But a lot of people as well don't understand that they lost Duncan Edwards at 21, but Duncan Edwards also had a younger sister, Sarah Ann, and she passed away 14 weeks old when Duncan Edwards was 10, so it must have been a really...
So you capture that story as well?
Yeah, because, I never got to meet Annie Edwards, but the person I speak to, Rose Cook-Monk, she done a documentary on him. It's surpassable. I don't think anyone will ever be able to do that, because she's got actual footage with Annie Edwards when she was alive, and she's got a lot of the teammates who was with him, Bill Fouts, and a lot of the surviving members. So I believe that documentary there, it's like the blueprint for everyone who, and that was 20 years ago that was made. So it's nice to have a revival 20 years on. And
in terms of writing the short film, it's going to be 13 minutes long. How long did it take you to actually write it and put it together?
It took me a couple of days.
Oh, is that all? Just a couple of days?
Yeah, it took me a couple of days. I wrote the first draft out. I always write out in pen first, handwrite it, then I type it up. I spell check it, then I send it to my script editor, Dom Carver. He's been helping me for the past 4 years. And then he gave me the green light, you see. He's usually kind of, I wouldn't say strict, but if I write something at a low standard, he'll
Yeah.
pick up on it. But he gave it the green light to that pretty quick. He said it really touched him. So
Brilliant. And,
yeah.
and quickly, any other projects you've got in the pipeline?
I've got a few, but at the moment I'm just focusing on this one. Yeah.
Well, Marcus, I wish you all the best of luck
Thanks
with your
so
short
much.
film, and thank you for joining us
Cheers.
this evening.
Thank you for having me.